All right, so we've got all of this cleaned up nicely. It's looking good. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna take this towel, the texture on it, that epoxy's firming up. So I'm just gonna press the texture of this cloth to it just a little bit, just so I don't have anything that's flat and shiny. Just like that. With the stains that we're going to use, usually get those at McKinsey, and they're just a wipe on, wipe off stain. They come in several different colors. I like to start kind of with the darker colors first, and you can use a Q-tip, a brush, all kinds of things to get that on there. We're just gonna kind of start putting it on. Don't worry too much about the tip right off the bat, because we're going to kind of polish those out so they're not as dark as the body of the point repair here. But we're gonna put this in, get some color on it, and you'll see here in a second when we start wiping it down, it's gonna run all over the place, but it'll lighten up, transition in. Just gonna wet my cloth a little bit. I don't want it runny, but a damp cloth. And I'm just gonna start dragging that color. I don't want to get too much on the antler, but I do want to get a little bit over that transition. And that's gonna help blend it. Gonna go dark colors first. On the little ridges and bumps, I don't want a lot of dark on those, because we want those to kind of pop through when we get it where we want it to match up with this other highlights of highs and lows. But we'll start dark, and we're gonna work our way lighter. There's going to be places where we got to go back and forth a little bit to make everything look how we want it to look. And it can be a struggle sometimes. I'm not the best at color blending this stuff. There's people that are much better at it than I am, but I can usually get by. I don't know if I'm a little colorblind or what the case may be, but I usually end up with them too dark or too light, or there's usually something going on. So it's a good thing I don't have much hair left, or I would have pulled out what was there. Same thing with this brown. I'm just going to go in and start kind of working it in. Not too worried about things looking perfect at this point. We're just getting some color on it. Main thing is stay consistent. You don't want one side to be heavily one color or the other, and then where you didn't walk around and look at the back side, it can change on you a little bit. Same thing though, just wipe it on, damp cloth. We're gonna start wiping it down. Those colors are gonna blend a little bit as we do this, and you'll start seeing highlights and dark spots and light spots, and we're just gonna start with it. At this point, I try to get a little bit of color down in all the places. I don't want any white poking out at me. And you can usually accomplish that just by wetting it down a little bit and dragging a little bit of that back in. If you need to, you can come back, add a little color. I'm just going to add a little brown here into some of the places. It's not looking bad. All right, you can get ahead of yourself doing this if you get in a hurry, because this stuff, I believe it's like an oil-based wipe on, wipe off, because it can take a while for your color to set. And if you go too far or too fast, you will actually hit a point where every time you touch it, you're just wiping your stain off, and it's gonna be a white spot every time you touch it, and it will drive you crazy. But just go through. All I'm doing is hitting the high spots, because I would like to keep those highlights in there. So when we get it finished up, there's lots of good texture popping through. All right, we're going to give that a second and let that dry up a little bit. Then we're going to come back in and keep progressing with our color change. It is hot in here. I don't know what the temperature is outside. It's been triple digits every day. AC's not keeping up very well. So bear with us. It shouldn't take too long for it to dry. All right. Alright, so it's been a couple of minutes. I think we're good to go. So the next color I'm going to go with is it's this clay red. Axis deer, your red deer. There's different colors. Whitetail, you know, depending on what part of the country they're from and what they were using to shed the velvet, they'll take on different colors. But your axis and lots of your red deer, they kind of have their own color going on, it seems like. But same thing, we're just going to wipe it in there. Not worry too much about the tip, because we're going to blend all of that and have that a little lighter colored anyway. But we got a little base color going on. We're blending a little bit into the antler. Something like that. And then we're going to start with the damp cloth again. Let's start on the back side. That way, if something terribly drastic happens as I'm wiping this stuff off, it doesn't happen front and center right there. You can always go back and kind of blend and texture and with your color, and it will all start to pop where we want it to. what we're gonna end up with, hopefully, if I don't mess it all up, is a good blend of the colors that we put on here. Oh, sorry, I just bumped the camera. Still getting used to this. It's probably gonna be a while. All right, so we're getting a little bit of a blend going on there. Something kind of like that. The next color that I progress into is this, well, it's called Golden Camel. It's kind of a green color. In fact, it's marked with a green strip across the top of the can. It's a good blending color. It's not going to be too overpowering, but it will go through and blend a lot of these colors together nicely. I'm not going to put it on real heavy. Seems like a little bit goes a long ways, but I am going to kind of go all the way around it. Don't neglect the transition. That's probably the most critical spot of anything about this, is making it nice and, oh, hit the camera again, nice and natural looking. You want everything to be as natural looking as you can get it. So that's pretty good. Now when I polish this color off, I want to bring back some of my highlights that we put in there. I don't want them to wipe off to the point where they're white. I want to keep that nice kind of blonde highlight look coming through at you. I'm just going to start wiping and trying to blend. We're fixing to hit the point where we're going to have to go back and forth a little bit, and that's the part where I usually start getting frustrated. I like things to happen the first time, and it's where that patience comes in that I was talking about earlier. Sometimes you just gotta have a little faith and keep pushing forward, because it'll happen. You just gotta keep going. See, I've already wiped off more than I would have liked right there. It's all right. I still have a little bit of my brown on one end of my Q-tip here, and I say brown, I think this is that red color. I'm just going to put a little bit in there, and at the same time, this has got the leftover camel color on it. I'm just going to drop some of that color back into the places that got a little white on me a little fast. As you stack these colors, that's going to happen, and so you'll figure it out as you go, kind of how much you can rub the cloth against it, how much that's going to remove versus how much you want it to stay. And it's just going to be lots of going back and forth. I don't like too much of any any one color standing out too proud. My cloth here is got some plaster or something on it. It's kind of running out onto my work. Anyway, so we're just going to do the back and forth now, and less and less amount of stain is what I'm going to be using. You put too much on there and it's going to get away from you. I guess it was probably 2011. I went to the Texas Taxidermy Convention up in Killeen, and they had a little seminar on how to cast these points. Before that, I was digging through all kinds of antlers and going through trying to find points that were the same color, same texture, just the right thickness. Trying to do all of those things, and still having to transition at the end of the day with your color match just right there where your seam is. And it works. You can make a really nice point repair that way. It is time consuming and lots of going back and forth to find the right piece, and eventually, I got a little piece of something there. Eventually, you get tired of digging through the boxes to try to find just the right antler piece, especially when you're running a little low. So then I started trying to rebuild them with just a 2-part epoxy, and that works well. It's very time consuming. You'll spend a lot of time texturing and adding and sanding and getting everything to look just like you want it to look. And at the end of the day, I still wasn't happy with the amount of time that I had to put into it versus what I was seeing at the end. And so when I started casting points, it makes a huge difference with the filming of it. Slowed me down quite a bit today. Normally from start to finish on a whitetail, just an average point repair, I can have it completed and done 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, somewhere in there. An hour if it really fights me. But this is a great way to get a good professional point repair done without spending 2 or 3 days trying to sculpt your epoxy and get it just like you want it. I am going to move the camera just a hair here because you can see this is the point. Hopefully that's showing up on camera. This is the point that I'm trying to replicate here. See if that's going to focus in. It's not great. Sorry folks, that's what we got to work with today. So I'm going to try to match the color of the one that we're doing to the existing one that we're transferring. And we're still a little light. I think that's probably as good as it's going to get. Still a little light right there. So I think I'm going to back up and use the red just a little bit, not much. This stuff will go big on you fast. But I think I want to add a little bit of that. Our highlights were a little brighter than they were on the other side. So I'm just going to mute those down with that red color. And I'll probably just clean my brush off and use a dry brush to try to bring out some of that color, but yet blend it. You can use your finger, you just got to be careful. It'll wipe off pretty easy. But that's not too shabby. I'm gonna put the lids on my paints here before I make a hell of a mess. And I think I'm going to very lightly, I'm going to clean my brush good so I don't get a muddied up mixture of colors here. I'm going to very lightly go through and add just a little bit of this darker color. See how it's trying to wipe off on me? That's what I was talking about with overworking it, because it'll get away from you. I may need to slow down a little bit. This backside's looking fantastic. Of course, that's the way it usually goes. Alright, so the part that I really want to focus getting right is this front side, because the back side, look, got a hair on there. The back side's looking fantastic. This front side was just a little light, a little too bright in places. But we're gonna let that dry. When it come back, we'll hopefully have it drier. We can buff a little bit of that color into blending and hopefully be right where we need to be. All right, so going back and forth, this thing is probably as close as I need it to be. I could spend more time with it, but honestly that's not looking too bad. Tomorrow, when it's 100% dry, I'll go through and hit this with like a matte finish, and then take like a brass brush and lightly go over it just to blend it out so that there's nothing too shiny or glossy, but yet it's sealed and it should keep its color. I had intended on doing this video all in one little go, with the idea that it'd be like a 20-minute video, but the reality of it is I could try to edit it all down, which I'm learning. I've got a long ways to go, obviously, but I think the best way to tackle this is to do it in a two-part video, one on the actual casting of the point and then one on the color blending. Simply because if I start cutting it down just to hit the highlights, I realized that there was a lot of narration in there that had valuable information, and I'm scared that if I bypass all of that, it's not gonna do you full credit. Anyway, this is the start of what I'm going to try to be doing here, which is not poking my eye out with the tag, but trying to pass on a little bit of what I know and how to get the things going that you'd like to do. If this is helpful, let me know. There's no end to the creativeness that goes on inside of a taxidermy studio. So I hope you guys like it. If there's anything that I'm missing out or that I didn't explain on in this process, holler at me. We'll figure it out and answer your questions. All right. I appreciate you. Have a great day.